So reports are coming out that Paul DePodesta, the chief strategy officer and analytics guy, is playing a major role in game planning. You see, this is from a Tony Grossi Land on Demand article that analytics and Paul DePodesta, not really a football guy, the research and analytics have been a large part of the game plans. Let's welcome in Quincy Carrier, host of Untitled, Unfiltered Browns coverage. Quincy, if this is true, how concerning is that Paul DePodesta and the analytics crew are major factors in game planning?
I think it depends on how that information is getting out, but I don't think in the way that it's been presented, it's really that much of a concern, to be honest with you. Most teams have analytics be a part of their major planning. From everything that I've seen that's been out there, and this story has kind of been floating around out here for the last 3 years. Everything that I see is hey, they just want to make sure that they're sticking with the trends that are working in the league and that they're keeping up with that. I don't think this is necessarily, hey, Kevin, we're going to run stick 32 times this week, or we're going to run out of empty and we need to be out of this formation. These are just basic guardrails. They're hey, let's make sure we don't fall behind the rest of the league. Let's make sure that we are doing what everybody else is doing and what's working around the league at a high clip, at a high efficiency rate. And if we're not, let's find ways to work that in there. Every good team in the NFL does this. I mean, this is something that Bill Belichick has been doing for a while, where he incorporates this. It's not as big of a story because Bill kind of controls everything, but analytics play a huge role in his success. When he was with Brady, he was one of the early adopters of it. So this is not, look, I get it at this point of the year when you hear John DePodesta, non-football guy, used to work for baseball. And it sounds like he's telling the football people what to do, but this is not what's happening, right? His job has always been to give suggestions. This is an analytics-based front office and coaching staff, so they're going to be listening to this information regardless. They're just getting better versions of it. And let's be fair, as much as we want to call John DePodesta not a football guy, every suggestion that has come to light of his that the Browns did not follow was followed up by a football guy making an absolute disastrous decision, right? We can go back to Teddy Bridgewater, remember the analytical report that they spent $2 million on and told him to draft Teddy Bridgewater instead of Johnny Manziel. They go with Johnny Manziel, ends up being a disaster. Sean McDermott not getting hired over Hugh Jackson. And then there's, Kevin Stefanski not getting hired over Freddie Kitchens. Famous football guy John Dorsey died on the hill to keep that one alive, right? So we can label him however we want, but his decisions have been correct more often than they've not. And if you look at the last 3 years where he's had more control, this team's been over 500 in that 3-year stretch. So yeah, I don't think this is freak out, panic worthy, Mike Holmgren era type stuff. I think this is just what you want a franchise to do behind the scenes to make sure they don't fall behind.
Fair enough. So in other words, they're looking at data, and how they interpret the data is to, up for question. But in terms of game planning, it's more data driven and how they interpret it.
Yeah, and here's the key too. If Paul DePodesta was saying you need to do this, it would be very apparent in the play calling trends with the Browns, right? That they need to throw a lot on first down. They don't throw that much on first down. So the game plan decisions and the play calling decisions are ultimately being made on what Kevin Stefanski feels is best at the time. There are suggestions long-term and big picture-wise that Paul DePodesta is going to throw in there and say, hey, maybe we should think about throwing more on first down. Maybe we should think about that. But, those suggestions everybody gives.